Hi everyone, my name is Chuck Wygand and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also the owner of Sandin Serenity Counseling, where I specialize in treating people with post-traumatic stress disorder and complex trauma. In my last video, I discussed anxiety, and I discussed it through the metaphor of anxiety as being kind of like a malicious bully, one that just more or less preys on human survival instincts. In that video, I also suggested that there are a number of different ways that we can fight back against this bully, ways of emotionally balancing ourselves that we can use kind of to cut him down and to recapture our peace of mind. In this video, I'd like to demonstrate a few of those skills and describe why they work. The first one that I'd like to discuss is diaphragmatic breathing. And I know generally sometimes breathing techniques get kind of a bad rap because people try them really briefly and they don't necessarily work very well, especially if it's shallow breathing. But when we are concentrating on the breath, taking in deep, very concentrated breaths, it actually triggers the body's relaxation response. By taking in these deep breaths, expanding our belly, raising our chest, it actually puts pressure on what's called the vagus nerve, and this is responsible for calming us down. One of the cues that we can use for this would be to maybe putting our hand on our belly as we're taking in that deep breath. I'm just going to demonstrate. And slowly exhaling. It might be helpful for some people if you wanted to kind of give it a count, like count in on 1, 2, 3, 4, holding it for 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe exhaling on the same count. Another way that we can help people to relax is called bilateral stimulation. And this really works with the brain, helps to consolidate both the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. Number of different ways that we can do that. One would be using a simple exercise like this, tapping on one side of the arm, then the other. Another way to possibly do that would be just to move the eyes back and forth, finding a center line where, let's say, our vision is lined up with, and just keeping the head steady, just moving the eyes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I also use something else in my practice and with myself, a little drum, a little steel drum that I tap on. I'm not very good at it, but just that vibration alone I find to be a very calming effect. Another technique that we can also employ would be called paired muscle relaxation. In this, what we would do is to very briefly tighten muscle groups and then relax them. Something similar to this. Holding up my shoulders, relaxing them. Maybe for 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. I can do it with moving down to like my shoulder blades, pulling them back, relaxing them. Maybe even moving out throughout the body, maybe tightening up my biceps and relaxing them. It seems to help a lot just to move throughout the body to the various muscle groups and just see how that affects the body. Can also give us feedback sometimes about which areas are very tight and where we might be holding our tension. Another great way to help a person to relax would be to use like mindful meditation type of activities. And this kind of gets, I think, a bad rap in the sense that sometimes people think that there's only 1 or 2 ways to do meditation, and in actuality I find it to be a very personal practice that we can do as makes sense for us. And so one of the ways that I try to help people with this is to use the imagination, and that might be as simple as closing our eyes, thinking about a particularly safe, comfortable place where we feel really at home. Could be at the beach or just wandering through a meadow. I often use the one we're talking about, just relaxing and lying back on your own personal cloud and letting it take you wherever it is that you want to go. Doesn't matter, it's yours, it's your journey, your adventure, whatever that looks like. Another way of thinking about this would be thinking of a person that we find to be particularly comfortable. Maybe it's somebody that we know in real life, a family member or a friend. Maybe it's somebody just that we've, I don't know, maybe even seen in the media that we think that would be particularly comforting. One thing to be mindful of, I think, with this, or to be aware of, is that a lot of times when we're trying some of these cognitive types of approaches, like mindfulness, it's very typical that that anxiety, that the bully is going to kind of try to get in there and interrupt this. Almost like, again, metaphorically, as if he was like poking us in the ribs, saying, come on, I'm still here, don't forget about me. And this is where we can use these same skills to fight back against him. If I'm imagining like I'm in a real fight with this thug, I might jab with something like, again, going back to the bilateral stimulation. I just break off from the meditation, start flicking my eyes back and forth. Or maybe going back to the tapping. I might just briefly do my diaphragmatic breathing. Anything to keep this guy off balance. Keep him back on his heels. One thing that's crucially important to remember with any of these skills is that they work well in the moment. They've been shown to do that to help de-escalate us. They work best though when we're practicing them, even when we don't seem to need them. Even, we can be like sitting in front of the TV set and just practicing bilateral stimulation, or something like, again, tightening the muscles too. It does not have to be a question of where we wait until it's game time to where we actually need them. No, we could practice it well before then. It's also important to remember that any time that we do practice these, it's going to hopefully lower our blood pressure, reduce our resting heart rate. So it's not just necessarily about warding off the anxiety and the bully, but it is also about just letting us live more comfortably in our daily lives. Sometimes, even if we are practicing everything to the extent that we would be and can be, there can still be days when the bully is just going to have his way. Maybe we didn't sleep so well the night before. Maybe we're feeling sick, or there's some other kind of just change, a major change that's really throwing us for a loop. What's really important here is that we keep punching. We keep doing everything in our power just to keep this guy off his game, and just keep preserving our peace of mind to whatever extent that we can. And then, you know what? Tomorrow we just come back with a vengeance. I think it is important to recognize that for some people who have been, say, traumatized, the intensity of their experiences might actually exceed what some of these skills are capable of doing. For that, you're probably going to still, or could well still need professional intervention. But that does not mean that practicing these skills is not still vitally important. It can help you to reduce the intensity of flashbacks and the like. Regardless of what you do, you are worth whatever it takes to win this battle. It is entirely winnable war, and I believe one that everybody deserves to win. Your mental health is of vital importance. Thank you so much. Appreciate you watching.